you were talking, you weren't nervous heading into game one, really. You weren't
No.
feeling like the playoff jitters. And I mean, we work-wise had like a pretty busy day, so I really didn't feel any sort of nerves. I really didn't feel a ton of like playoff energy really until I was in the building for the game.
Yeah.
But are you nervous at all heading into game two, I guess?
No, not really. But like you said, like I've not been around it. Like I haven't been down to the Moss Pit or anything like that. And go to the game on Monday. Over the weekend, I didn't even watch any playoff games because I had crew camp all weekend. So I basically just rolled into Monday like it was any other day. And today, it's just another day. I think they'll win again tonight, but I don't think it'll be as easy as it was on Monday. I think that's fair to say.
Yeah, I think that's fair as well. And I was on DFO Live today with Colby Cohn before the show. Me and him were just shooting the breeze about the Oilers a little bit. And he said he was a little bit worried with how run and gun the team looked in game one at times. And
I'm not worried about that.
I do think that when you look back through this season with the Oilers, there were enough moments where they showed they can dial it in. Think about how low scoring some of those games were over the course of the 16-game winning streak and things like that. Like there were games where they battened down the hatches. It's a sailing term, Liam. They battened down the hatches and just played good defensive hockey. And I think they have it in them. The one part of last game that did concern me a little bit is the way they came out in the second period. They got very sloppy out of the gates in the second period. And again, we touched on this yesterday in our recap of the game, but if Skinner doesn't make that breakaway save on Arvidsson, we might feel a lot different about the way that hockey game ended up. And again, I give the Oilers credit for eventually kind of dialing her right back and having a very dominant finish to that middle frame. But I do think the Oilers, and I'm hoping the Oilers, this is similar to the conversation I guess we had with Frank yesterday as well. I hope they've learned their lessons from playoffs past, because we did this whole exercise yesterday. When you look at that series against Vegas last year, in game 2, they won 5-1, and it was like perfect. The Oilers might have figured something out in Vegas. They were coming back, getting ready to come on, and they lose 5-1 in the very next night. They have a tendency to, at times, I think, get a bit too high on themselves, and they score a bunch of goals, and Connor and Leon are doing their thing, and it feels like the rest of the team, when it's games like that, almost go, Connor and Leon got us tonight. It's point night. Let's go get ours. And they get a little sloppy. You can even look back to in 2022 against the Kings. Again, they won 6-0 in game 2. They won 8-2 in game 3. Then they lose 4-0 that next night. And it just goes to show, talked about this yesterday, momentum doesn't carry over at all from game to game. The Oilers need to be cognizant of that. Scoring 7 last game doesn't guarantee you 1 in game 2.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of what ifs in that analogy as well, though. Like, what if Skinner did make that save?
Yeah, and that's fair too.
And like they did recover well after that. So I think one thing, like Colby saying, the game was a bit too run and gun. Awesome. Like it doesn't matter if you go run and gun with the Kings because they can't run as fast as you.
Yeah.
So I would actually I think I was completely in the Oilers' advantage, and they dictated the game. They played so quickly and moved with their feet and moving the puck that it didn't allow the Kings to set up. And I think if you can put that fear into the Kings again in the first period, I won't even say the first 10 minutes. I think the first period as a whole, like you did the other day, I just don't see how they're going to be able to maintain that. Now, with that said, the Kings are going to come out heavy tonight. They're going to come out. They're going to try and dictate their game with the pace of it, the structure and everything. And the Oilers just need to break that early. And like we said on the show on Monday when we were talking about 3 keys to how the Oilers could win, one of mine was you dictate the special teams. You beat the Kings penalty kill, which is second in the league. They absolutely dominated it.
And so, 3 for 4. And again, on that miss in the first period, the Kings are lucky the Oilers didn't go 4 for 4 last night, if we're being honest.
Exactly. So they just got to find that first period. I think is going to be everything for this game. But like you said, I'm also not worried if it's a tight game because the Oilers have won a lot of tight games. There's this idea for people who don't watch the Oilers play a lot that every single game is like 7-6, like Colorado, Winnipeg.
Yeah.
It's like, that's not the case. If the Oilers want to dial it in, they can dial it in too.
Yeah, and I am really interested to see and we'll get to it later with our bets and whatnot, but I think tonight will be closer. Like when I bet puck line this evening, which I absolutely am, I'm not going into it thinking it'll be 8-1. I'm going into it thinking I might be sweating out and praying to puck line Jesus in the final 90 seconds.
Well,
and I'm interested to see how the Oilers react to maybe even some adversity in this game.
Is this series, I should say, just not Washington, New York? In a similar sense of like, there's a clear powerhouse in this, and then a clear team that is like, a lot of things are going to have to go right if they want to win. And that's what it feels like in this series between Edmonton and LA to what the Rangers and Caps. And last night, the Caps, to their credit, 1-goal game, but it never really felt like they were going to win.
Mm-hmm.
And I just feel like that's what it's going to be tonight for the Oilers. I fully expect them to go into LA up 2-0, probably drop a game in LA because you're not supposed to win your home road games, right? Like, so that's what I'm thinking for tonight.
What's up, Nation citizens? If you like that video, then you need to be subscribed to the Oilers Nation YouTube. Podcasts, live shows, exclusive interviews, and analysis. Everything you need from your favorite voices at Oilers Nation. And you don't want to miss any of it, so hammer that subscribe button.